Everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Hey V TV, the podcast. I'm so honored that you take a little bit out of your time today to spend with me talking and laughing and girl talking and venting and crying and whatever else we do during this time. So whether you're in your car or preparing dinner or in front of the computer or any of the countless other things you do each day, let's take these next few minutes to bond, shall we? I have in the studio with me a sister girlfriend, Miss Tara Pringle, and we're going to talk about self-care today. Hey, Tara.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. This is a very appropriate topic for me at the moment because I've been telling my sister for the past couple of weeks, like, I feel burnt out. I am tired. Like, I'm running all over the place all the time. Single mom, so I have that aspect, and then everything I'm trying to do for myself, and I have a ailing grandmother, so I'm trying to help my mom, so I'm getting pulled in like 1,500 different directions, and I feel like the slightest infraction at this moment may make me pop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my sister, keeps reminding me that you cannot pour from an empty cup. It's something that we hear a lot, and it kind of becomes cliche, but I'm at that point.
Yeah.
So, have you been there?
Yes, I have been there, and I love that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. But my friend, who is also, she's kind of like my accountability partner. She likes to say you can't drink from an empty cup. Mm-hmm. So, the thought of you can't pour, that means like you can't give outward from, what you have to someone else, mm-hmm. but you can't drink from an empty cup, which means if you are just burnt out, you mm-hmm. don't have anything left, mm-hmm. you can't, like, how can you survive off of that yourself?
Right.
You need to replenish it first for yourself, and then you can pour it out to other people. So I always try to remember, I have to drink first before I can help anybody else. That's for good. Sure.
That's like the oxygen mask mm-hmm. thing.
It's just
on
like
the airplane.
It's just like
you
the
have to
oxygen
put yours
mask.
On first.
Exactly.
You mentioned accountability partner. Mm-hmm. How important is that?
It's so, like, I take self-care so seriously. I have a couple accountability partners, okay. and I say accountability partners, but they are like friends who mm-hmm. I can just talk to about, like you said, this is what I'm going through. My grandmother is sick, or mm-hmm. I'm stressed out because of work. And so I have these friends where once a month at least, like, we're on the calendar, like, we have it written down. We will talk to each other for about a half hour and just say, how are you doing? What's going on? How's your stress levels? What are you doing to take care of you? And then it's kind of like that, okay, well, I told her, I was going to go and take myself out to lunch. Or I told mm-hmm, her mm-hmm. that I was going to, say, book an appointment with my therapist. So next mm-hmm. time we talk, I want to be able to say, yeah, I went to therapy. Mm-hmm. It was great. Mm-hmm. I took myself out to lunch. It was great. And so having those conversations with people, having that accountability like that, that helps me a lot. Yeah.
So I have a group of friends that we text often in a group text, and I don't think we get that far into accountability. Mm-hmm. Like, we'll do the whole check-in, like, how is things going, because it seems like right now everybody's dealing with a whole lot. So it's always like, check-in, is everybody good? In fact, I just got a text today that I need to respond to. And we're careful to, pray for each other, or let them know, like, I'm here for you. But we never get to that, I need to take myself out to lunch thing, or I need to book an appointment with my therapist. Yeah. I think I'm going to introduce that part.
Yeah, because it's so important to, venting to your friends, or like sharing what you're going through, like, that is so important. And I think, like, even that, I think a lot of women don't do.
No.
Because I think that they kind of carry around that stress. And if somebody says, well, how are you doing? Like, they'll say, I'm fine. You know, they kind of put that mask on
Right,
to
right,
say,
right.
like,
Right.
I got it. It's all under control. So even that part of talking to your friends and saying I'm stressed or saying I'm close to burnout, even that part is really good, because a lot of women don't even do that.
We don't share.
They don't
We don't
share.
trust each other enough to share.
No.
And a lot of times with good reason.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, you know, we have to cultivate these types of relationships in which we can be able to share.
Definitely. And I think being vulnerable, it takes practice. You know, like we aren't used to saying that, you know, I'm on edge, or I don't know how I'm going to make it through this week. I just have so much stress on me. And being vulnerable, it's not necessarily easy or second nature for a lot of us, but it's something that with practice, like, you can get good at. And then, like, vulnerability is the only way that you can truly get the help that you need or the support that you need. So I always say, like, you know, practice being vulnerable, and even if it's uncomfortable, just push past it a little bit, so you can feel like, okay, well, I got the support that I actually needed.
Right. You mentioned therapy. That's something else we don't do. And something else we don't talk about. I've been in therapy before. I'm totally an advocate for it.
Oh yeah.
Why don't we go?
I think, again, I think that talking about mental health just in general, like, we don't take it as seriously as we do physical health. Like, if you woke up one day and you couldn't walk, like, your legs, like, you just couldn't walk, you couldn't get out of bed because you couldn't put weight on your leg, we wouldn't wait months before going to the doctor. Like, we would probably make it a point, like, that day to try to get to a doctor's office. But we can have mental instability for years and just push past it and say, well, I'm just, you know, making it through, or I'm just gonna pray, or I'm just gonna keep on pushing because that's what women in my family do, or I don't have time. And, you know, we have to make sure that our mental health comes first. And we have to understand that if we're not taking care of who we are mentally, emotionally, then all the rest of it won't fall into place. I mean, it's just going to be a mess until we take care of that. And so I'm a huge proponent for therapy. I think that I started going to therapy maybe 2 years ago. And when I started, I was at that point where I was like, I just want to get well enough where I don't have to go anymore. Like, I want to cure whatever I'm going through, like, beat this stress.
So I can stop.
Yeah, so I can stop. And then I realized, like, you know, there is nothing wrong with me checking in with my therapist, like, just indefinitely, like, not necessarily going through crisis, but just to have an hour where somebody's listening to you and you don't have to respond, like, you don't have to care about them, what they think. Like, that's priceless. So definitely therapy, you know, we gotta have that conversation about it.
I like what you said about not really caring about what they think, because I think a lot of times, especially as women, we want to put on, you know, like, we're all okay, we have it all together, and it's okay to rest your cape. It's okay. Like, she's not going to, you know, he or she, the therapist, is not going to judge you. If anything, they're going to help you and walk you through. But it's such a stigma. Like, people just don't want to go. Or embarrassed to say, I have a therapy appointment today. You know what I mean?
And that's why I try to be, when I talk to women in my community, do interviews like this, like, I try to be very upfront and transparent about the fact that I love my therapy days. You know, like, I love going because I know that at the end of that session, I will feel like a weight has been lifted, and I will have the opportunity to have somebody ask me questions in a way that you don't get in a lot of relationships, because other people, they're dealing with their own issues, they're dealing with, you know, their own stresses, and your therapist's job is to be there and to leave all their stuff at home and just focus on you and pour into you.
And they're trained to do that. Like, they have the expertise. Yeah, that's good stuff. So as women, we're like moms and wives and sisters and daughters and so many labels, right?
Yeah.
So you're a mom.
Yes.
How many kids?
I have 2 kids.
How old?
They are 10 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they keep you busy.
They do. They're home now, so they're keeping me real busy.
Mm-hmm. And you just celebrated a milestone anniversary.
I did. 10 years of marriage last month.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So how does self-care play into these 2 major roles in your life?
Well, I know for me, and definitely probably for a lot of women listening, self-care is the thing that allowed me to take up space in my household. It's the thing that allowed me to take back some of that energy and time that I gave so freely to my husband and my 2 children, because I was just pouring everything I had into them. I was like, okay, let's do homework, let's do this, let's take you to the zoo, all of those things where I'm trying to make sure that they have everything that they need. And like a lot of women, I feel I lost myself in that.
Yeah.
And I didn't take care of myself, basically. Like, I wasn't going to the doctor, and I wasn't doing small things like just spending time with myself or taking leisurely baths or showers. Like, I would be in and out the shower, boom, like 4 minutes, like just nothing. And I wasn't taking care of myself. And I definitely think that like over the past 2 years, I've really been on this journey of taking better care of myself and making sure that, I look at the family calendar and there's something on there for me, so my kids know, okay, well, mommy's not going to be here because she's going out to brunch with her friends, or mommy's not going to be here because she's going to the movies by herself. No kids, rated R movies, like no little kids allowed. And that has really helped me carve out that space for myself. So like we said before, to help keep my cup full.
Right. So before marriage and children, was there self-care?
Not really. I got married and had babies kind of young. I was 20. So before that, I feel like when you're younger and you don't have as many responsibilities, it's not necessarily thought of as like self-care, because it's just you doing you, basically.
Right.
You don't really have to put a name to it, because it's like, I don't have no bills. I don't have, I don't
big
have
responsibilities.
I don't have, a mortgage or rent to pay. So before that, it was just me doing me. I didn't really have to be as intentional as I am now.
That's a good word, intentional.
Yeah.
Does your husband support the self-care days or moments?
Oh yeah. And I think really, truly, like, I think I learned self-care from him, because I think men are usually very good at self-care. Like, men, they know how to take care of themselves. Like, they say no easily. Like, they don't do things they don't want to do. No is a complete sentence for a lot of men. And I learned from him, just seeing how he operated in the world, and how if he didn't want to do something, he didn't lose sleep over whether the person was mad at him, or he just knew that he didn't want to do it, so he would just say no. And so I learned a lot from just watching him and being like, well, maybe I'm gonna be like that.
Right.
I'm stressed out, he's not stressed out, so let me see if I can pattern myself a little bit more after that, and
so
see how that goes.
So he was
the model. Oh yeah.
So you have a retreat, a self-care retreat.
I do.
Tell us about it.
So it is in its 3rd year this year. I really cannot believe it. But we meet every September. This year we're going to be in New Orleans. I'm really excited about that. And we spend 3 days you name it. We have massages, we have mental health professionals come in and lead sessions with us, and it's a very intimate group. All women who are like-minded, mothers, wives, entrepreneurs. They're all, doing their own thing, and we just get to come together, leave their responsibilities at home for 3 days, eat good food, have like the agenda. It's like a flexible agenda. So like half of the day we are, in sessions and talking, our feelings out and coming up with a game plan for when we go home. And then the rest of the time it's like, hey, we get to explore the city that we're in. So it's like a vacation / like mental health getaway.
Are the sessions interactive with each other? Because I would imagine that a group of women that don't really know each other, is it hard for them to open up? Like we talked about vulnerability in the first.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I have done, this is the third retreat now, so I've tried to work at ways so that the women, once they get there, they kind of already know each other. So now we have an attendee Facebook group beforehand where people can kind of get to know each other. So when they come in the first day, it's not like, who are you and where are you from and how many kids do you have? But again, you know, you do have to kind of work at that. The previous years, I think we had about 25 women each year. And so it's not too big. Like we do break into groups so that it's maybe like 4 women in each group. And that definitely helps kind of break the ice and allows them to put their guard down and be vulnerable in a way that I don't think is possible if there's, you know, 100 plus women in the room. Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So if they want to, if our listeners want to sign up for maybe 2018, where should they go?
They can go to my Facebook page. I believe the link to sign up for the mailing list for the retreat is still at the top. It's the pinned post. And that's facebook.com/wherewomenbloom. And that's, and then that will get you on the mailing list. So you'll know, be the first to know when tickets go on sale.
Nice. My favorite word right now is flourish. So bloom excites me as well.
Yeah, that's a good word.
So earlier we were talking about how if you had a physical ailment, you would readily go to the doctor. But for mental or self-care, we kind of put it off. So should self-care be a part of healthcare?
Yeah. I think, and I define self-care as time and attention on self. And I think for a lot of women, we don't spend nearly as much time and attention on ourselves as we think we do. And so we get up every day and our lives are very routine. We get up, we take our kids to school, we go to work, and it's pretty routine, and we don't spend that time to really understand how are you really feeling. You know, like you said earlier about feeling stressed, and you're in tune with yourself, so you can know, like, okay, I'm really stressed out, or I'm near burnout. And but a lot of women, they just keep powering through, and they don't even recognize, oh, that's why they're, you know, upset or they're snapping at their kids, because they you know, that's why they're upset, because they have too much on their plate and they're not necessarily in tune with that. So, you know, self-care is definitely part of, you know, healthcare. It should be, I always tell women in my community and women that I come in contact with that self-care should be an everyday thing. Just, you know, in whatever way you can spend time and attention on yourself every day, then to do that.
So for the woman that's on the budget, how does she self-care? Because, you know, a lot of times it would be great to be able to go to retreats and, you know, a couple days away from the kids. But for a lot of us, you know, it's very hard to do that. For the woman who's on a budget and for the woman with no budget, how can we self-care?
I love really... When I talk about self-care, I usually don't try to give like one size fits all pieces of advice, because what people like to do is different for everybody. But what I try to recommend is that you try to, as best as you can, have maybe once a month you have a date with yourself. And so that might just be, for example, in June, I took myself to the Cleveland Museum of Art, and then I took myself to lunch. And so the museum's free, just pay a little bit for parking, and then, you know, get me like a little $6 lunch, you know, somewhere, Chipotle or Panera or something. And just make sure that I spend that one-on-one time with myself, and make sure that, you know, I just am in tune with getting away from all of my responsibilities and being sure that I am just focused on what I need and what makes me happy and how I can fill my own cup.
A lot of people aren't comfortable with dating themselves. You know, just sitting at, you know, at Panera by themselves. A lot of people can't do that. I was reading on Psychology Today about self-care, and some of their tips were, you know, just running your feet through the grass or the sand, you know, for the summertime, or like you said, just a hot shower.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than just getting clean. It's like staying in there for a moment, or a bath, or I don't know, just simple, easy things to do around the home.
Definitely.
You know, but yeah, everybody needs to self-care.
I think so.
I'm learning to be an advocate for that.
Yeah. My favorite, real quick, self-care thing that I do for myself that's at the home is I take a bath by candlelight.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can take a shower by candlelight if you want to too, but really have, whatever your favorite playlist is going.
Mm-hmm.
Have, turn off all the lights in your bathroom, light a few candles on your counter or wherever is safe, and just kind of soak in there. If you have some bubble bath or bath salts or whatever it is that you need, Epsom salt, like that works too, and just do that, and that kind of elevates like something that you do every day, just bathing and cleaning yourself, but it elevates it to something that feels like a treat. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, and also you talked about is what you like to do. So like one of the things on Psychology Today was gardening. That would not be self-care for me. That's absolutely work. But for my mother, that's total self-care. Like spring and summer is her time, because she can totally self-care and just be in the moment, be with the flowers, and and she loves to do that kind of stuff. Other things were pay attention to your breathing. I would never think that would be self-care. Burn a scented candle, stare up at the sky. That kind of stuff is soothing, but you don't think to do that. It's like woosah on a whole nother level. Quick question. Do you have a laundry regimen?
Oh, no, I don't. And I'll tell you why. Is because like a couple years ago, everything goes back to a couple years ago, like I decided I hate doing laundry, so I don't do it anymore.
Who does it?
My husband does it, or my kids do it.
I
haven't done laundry in like 2 years.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I don't do it. I don't wash dishes anymore. Like my kids
I don't wash dishes anymore.
Yeah. So, like, just the things that I just really hated.
But I think the dishes thing is a total setup. Because, like, I make them do it, but a dish gets broken every day. I'm to the point of paper plates.
Yeah, my glasses.
Yes.
I had to buy all new glasses.
Child, I don't know if I told y'all before, but I have the Scandal wine glasses.
Yeah.
And my kid broke one. And I had to really think, like, can you stay here tonight? This is not good. You broke my glass.
Yeah.
But you don't do laundry?
No. And somehow the clothes get clean. Like
magic.
It's like magic. Yeah. I just made a declaration. I was like, I'm not doing laundry.
So if they let it pile up, does that give you anxiety?
No.
Do you really deal with anxiety now that you've
I do still deal with anxiety, but I've learned to kind of, like, I get anxiety about, like, my career or, like, things that are bigger picture.
Because you're a writer.
Yeah. So I try not to get anxiety about the laundry or, like, dirty dishes in the sink.
Small things.
Yeah. Because that can really, stress you out. Like, those small things can stress you out even almost more than the big things can.
Where can we find your blog?
You can find my blog at therenaissancesuite.com.
And you blog about?
I blog about self-care. What else? It's my favorite topic.
I like it.
Yes.
I'm gonna start my own self-care stuff every day.
Do it. Definitely.
Yeah. When your kids are like super small, like babies, self-care is like literally going to the bathroom.
It is going to the bathroom alone.
Yes. Or going to like grocery shop. I never knew that I could fall in love with the Giant Eagle until I went by myself.
I still love Giant Eagle from those moments when my kids were small.
Yeah. Philippians 4:8. This is finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. Because what you think about grows. So I think the closing point for me today is, your body is your temple and your mental status is your temple. So you have to take care of it all. You want to be good vessels for Christ, and in order to be that, you have to be as healthy as possible. So take time out for yourself. My other takeaway is get some good accountability partners that hold you accountable to making those appointments that you may need to make. There's nothing wrong with counseling. There's nothing wrong with therapy. And take care of yourself. It's important. Your children need you. Your people need you to be healthy. So take that time, right?
Exactly.
And if you're lucky, get somebody else to do your laundry. Like, I'm working on this. And if it piles up, don't stress.
It's fine. Yep.
Don't sweat the small stuff, right?
Exactly.
Tell us one more time where we can find you, Tara.
You can find me at therenaissancesuite.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at Where Women Bloom.
And I hope to be at the self-care retreat in 2018.
Yes.
And I hope that our listeners will join us.
Yes, I hope so too.
That's going to be so much fun. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Of course. Tune in next time to Hey VTV, the podcast where the conversation never ends. Have a powerful day.
Hey,